beyond the knowledge, which is how that virtual reality life giving us some form of comfort, happiness, and at the same time it has its own structural changes. Okay, so let us everyone is now getting into more internet. Children are going into more, and all the studies has shown that has weakened the family ties, and it will affect the impact and the effect of the family as a media of conveying culture from one generation to another. And now the impact of you as a parent compared to YouTube is not comparable. The culture is now coming from YouTube more than coming from you. And that is a new generation we have to. And whenever you have unmet social needs, you will just convert yourself into the virtual reality. So the virtual world, it creates you a fake identity where you try to create an identity for yourself which might not be who you are. You will try to create relationship which you are not able to create or to find in real world. So the interaction is more or less asynchronous. When I interact with you, I say something, you respond to me, or I don't say it, you respond to me. There is a physical form of your appearance, there is a feedback, then I could change what I wanted to say, then there is a change between who you are and who I am. You are my professor, maybe I will just give you more respect to what you say, and the tone of your voice will show if you are really serious about it or not. So the whole communication has taken all of its qualities to become more pure form of change and exchange of knowledge, and that will be serious enough because might make people able to project things which they are not able to say. That will lead to what we call online disinhibition. There's a nice cartoon where two dogs are talking to each other and they are playing on the computer, and said, nobody knows we are dogs. Yes, you are behind, nobody knows your name. You can say things, you can attempt things you would never do in real life, either because of your status or because of the inhibitory effect of the reaction of the person you are interacting with. So that will be missing. And all the time you are able to control yourself, seeing the emotion in front of you, but online you don't see that. And even you started to lose the richness of the interaction of human being. Someone will write to you an old joke which you heard 100 times, you respond by writing ha 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 ha. Life has missed a lot of important part of life where you will be able to laugh with somebody. You create some form of intimacy and warmth between you, and that creates more relationship between you. So that has lost its own impact and its own meaning. So, and that will affect us in losing who we are and how we develop ourselves. Sometimes it might lead us to be more social isolated because we are enjoying what we see in the virtual world more than on the organic. How many minutes I have got left? 5. I'll try to go quickly through that. Okay. So, communication which involves words, eye contact, emotion, feeling, and the surrounding and the environment, that has become missing. I can say one thing. Suppose you haven't met your friend for a day. When you see him tomorrow, you can say, good morning, sabah al khair, you carry on. You haven't seen him for a month, you might shake hands. Okay? You haven't seen him for a year. Maybe you hold him or you hug him to express. What did that mean? If you haven't seen him for 20 years and suddenly he's in front of you, you might hug him and start crying. What is this? This is what we call psychological arousal, where it requires physical intimacy, physical interaction to relieve that, and you feel the goodness of holding somebody's hand or holding somebody close to you or crying with somebody. That is the humane side of the physical intimacy we create because of our psychological arousal. We are missing that. If you are chatting with your friend on a daily basis, waltzing up on a daily basis, even if he is in Sydney in Australia and you met him after a year, if that level of psychological arousal will be there, or he becomes as if you have met him yesterday. We miss that. We are going to miss the development of the psychological needs of that form of relationship. So, and as much as we get involved into some electronic interaction, that will reduce social interaction. And if your friend is living nearby or living in Dammam with you, and you are able to chat with him on WhatsApp on daily basis, the need for you to go and visit him for social reason is become minimal. And that is how our new generation, new world will be. Okay? So, empathy and feelings are starting to come down and become more eccentric around our own nucleus families we create and the extended family within the virtual world. So, social networking, identity is not clear, empathy is reduced, and it impacts on the type of relationship we create. I will just quickly go on those two issues which people normally try not to touch on them, although it is just because they are morally sin. But I think there's something more important than that. Pornography. People will start to believe that physical relationship is about physical arousal. So they started to look into bodies and shapes to relieve their own physical tension. We as psychiatrists, we got different views. We believe that sexuality is about releasing psychological arousal. When you are really in close with somebody who you have chosen to be your other half, when you reach a point of, as I mentioned to you on your friend, when you haven't met him for 1 year, where you need to hug him to release the psychological arousal, that level of psychological arousal with the person you have chosen will give sexuality the morality and the value of a relation between two human beings. But people who are starting, I say, oh, I'm just only watching movies. No, you are comparing. You are living an illusion. You are making physical relationship instead of a psychological need, you make it as physical need between two hormones are just there to release their hormonal tension. And that will have an impact on relationship, marriage, and society for in the future. So in that sense, it will affect women. Objectification, they all wanted to maintain that them as a body. Because if the culture, which is the virtual culture, promote physical relationship between bodies, then she wanted to be the ideal body to get that position and that place in her relation with her husband. Unfortunately, she is chasing her own tail because age is not in her favor. She will get older and older, and then the man will be, as soon as he see her getting older, will revert back to his own virtual reality to live the illusion of having relationship with the physique which is in his mind and feeling always disappointed about the body he got in front of him, because it is a relationship minimized and reduced to become a physical form of a relationship, not a social, valuable, intimate form of a moral relationship between two people have a relationship with each other. Let us talk about gaming quickly. Violence in gaming. When you say, if you are here and you're working with some of your friends and you said a word which has upset him, you can see the change in his face. You will regret that. You hurt him, okay? So the interaction of will control your level of aggression. You said the nice things, he was happy. You will put more. That means your one-to-one interaction will control your emotion. But if there is no one-to-one, son will come to you and say to me, oh, can I tell you, I'm the winner now. I managed to kill 150. That is a concept, is not simple and you just can't forget. He is enjoying killing in the virtual reality, Because nobody has put in his subconscious, somebody's died, or he got a family, or the pain he inflict on the other, but death is become part of the game. How much that will create our understanding of the world. Okay, before the last, just quickly I will say to you, the cycle of using the virtual world and enjoying it will have a neurological, biochemical changes on the dopamine receptors, and it becomes more or less enforced by the pleasure you get there, and then you become hung to it, and then you will become hooked to it, and you end up become addicted to that because of the cycle, not only the psychological relief it gets, but the biological basis of it. So, the mind of the future, if we can conclude, we can say they have high IQ, short attention span, efficient information process, not ideal, they are risk taker, they are not really keen about empathy, need of constant feedback, and weak sense of identity. So, as a conclusion, we will say today that technology will cause a lot of changes in our brain, in our relationship, and in the way we see life. So the question is, and that will have an impact on our civilization. The question and the conclusion of my talk today will be, don't wait for the wave to change direction, but learn to ride the wave and lead the direction. And this is how we can see the internet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Magdi, for the interesting topic. I'm sure there are many questions or comments. Yes, Dr. Salman.
Thank you, Dr. for your nice lecture. Actually, your conclusion at the end, we notice that in our children and what they are practicing now with the internet, and as you said, inattention and not listening to the others. There is no social relation with the family, even inside the house. I feel that they are getting more idiot than more intelligent. I don't know what this is. You said their IQ is increasing. On what basis on that?
Okay. As I said earlier, there is two levels of intelligence. The fluid intelligence, which is processing, and the crystallized, which the level of information they have. Okay? So now, if you sit down and for IQ testing, it will more or less, it will test the level of information they get more than the processing of it. Okay? So now your child will be able to sit down and tell you about the election in UK last week and football in Barcelona the week before, and the level of information they have is enormous. But if you wanted to help them to process things, it's sometimes not as easy as we used to. And we used to have a better processing because we have got very limited resources. We have to think about other alternatives and other ways. So in that sense, yes, IQ is higher, but processing is definitely affected.
I got a comment and question. Now I think you put this internet has action on the brain, but now for the bodily and bariatric surgeon, internet has caused a big epidemic of obesity in the world and increasing like anything. So yeah, this is 90% the cause of internet because people are sitting doing nothing. And if for this thing and one of the solutions, second thing what statement is, I think people advise, because always you have a lot of problems, but I think people advise is elders has a responsibility to take the children out of the house and you take part more and more games, play with them, go with them, don't tell them go and play. You have to go with them to play and take sports, make them walk, stay away from them, leave the computer, all the phone at home, and this is one of the solutions people are advising now. Thank you.
Okay, I agree with you. And I think maybe we can just directly, the bariatric surgery is an outcome of the internet era. Yes, it doesn't have an impact, but it is a complexity. Why somebody would love to live in the virtual world, not in the real world? Why?
Because it's a world you create. It's a world you create. It's different than the world that someone has entered before.
That is the point. But when you say create, because you create it away from your boss who's sitting behind you all the time, not because of your wife who's nagging you all the time. So there's too many things from our organic world pushing us to live into that part. Because you still have the nostalgia of, oh, my colleague colleague when we graduated 30 years ago, you meet on the WhatsApp and you talk up to them as if they are the best angels in the whole world. You create that illusion and you enjoy it because the reality is so harsh sometimes. So what I'm saying, yes, it is a problem, we see it on a daily basis, but unfortunately, preventive work in mental health is still so in its childhood. We are not really well developed on that area. And if I have one of my patients come to me and say to me, I do family therapy, and say to me, what can I do for my kids to grow more balanced between the organic and the virtual world? Sometimes I might not have things organized. A lot of my colleagues might not have that answer because there is no evidence-based material available to them unless they go and search. And unfortunately, we have to take that blame and we have to look into that to give answers, to work on developing the knowledge of balance. That wasatiyya, that form of how to get the best out of the two worlds is the most important.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you so much, Doctor, for this interesting topics, and thank you for the psychiatry department for organizing this one. So, my name is Abdul Munam al-Mutawwa. I have master degree in optometry, focusing in computer vision syndrome. What is the computer vision syndrome? This is the symptoms that can occur during, after prolonged use of computer, which is a musculoskeletal system, plus ocular and visual system together. So just my question is regarding to these studies that you shown us. Really, still we need to see what may be done in the Western country, maybe not the same as what we do it here in our countries. Really, there is still debate. There is still not clear, but in the future maybe many things can be. Thank you very much.
I think, yes, from your specialty will show how the internet and the cyber world is affecting part of the brain.
Yeah.
And definitely every part of the brain, as I said, with the idea of mind, it's how we develop different network or rich network according to the activity on that network and that area. And definitely need a lot of studies. Here, we are so far behind. In the whole third world, we are so far behind, although we are utilizing the technology with more fast rate than any other part of the world. And I think we have not to shy from put the blame on us. We as psychiatrists, what would stop us from having organizations which should be able to go out to the youth? I am teaching in the university in King Saud in Al-Hassa, where I can see my student on a daily basis. When they come to the lecture, half of them, they will be tweeting or on WhatsApp when I'm lecturing. Yes, I might be boring a bit, but I think all of my colleagues agree that has become a pattern. But before I become having the punishment attitude of the old professors type, why not to start to be able to bring them in? And we have small form of organization societies where we go out and talk to people. Please, we are worried about our nations. We don't want to end up with a nation who's always their cell phone on their hand and they are always able to escape from their own organic world to that visual world. How can we get the balance right? Because if this generation tomorrow become the father of the coming generation, it is a disaster if we don't do something. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real disaster.